Yeah, but Lee is Lee. Curse mark design, version 4.8 summary. I would finally be willing to call this technique complete. Following is a list of all features and side effects the curse mark can be applied by me personally in a ritual Fuin jutsu that I can perform relatively quickly. Its purpose is to mimic Hyuuga's ability to passively summon Senjutsu chakra from the environment. Bite me Jiraiya, you fat old asshole. The curse mark stage activates after a few days of suffering. Or it might kill you. It increases the user's physical capabilities by a flat amount, proportional to how much Senjutsu chakra is absorbed. The curse mark requires a constant supply of the user's chakra to keep activated, and the user can vary how much power they want to provide and in turn, receive, which is visible by how far the black markings have spread across the user's body. Activation of the curse mark, to some degree, is almost certain when using chakra for any techniques. This can be mitigated by precise chakra control or putting an additional seal atop the mark, not like I'm gonna though lol. Use of the mark, similarly to effects seen in Yugo, will erode the user's sense of reason without strict self-control and mental discipline. Even possessing the mark will cause violent or depressive urges in the subject over time. Letting me control them easier, so nice side effect, through the death of the user, a situation I have made recoverable using the Mind Awakening pill, page 36, the user can access the curse mark stage 2. This causes an even more dramatic increase in physical abilities, as well as a seemingly random change to the user's appearance, usually resulting in a beast-like appearance. Also, sometimes cool extra limbs. In Stage 2, the curse mark allows the user to enhance their traditional jutsu with Senjutsu chakra, increasing their power and often applying additional affects. Note to self, find a way to steal Jiraiya's Sage Mode notes. Personal Research Handbook of Orochimaru Maniacs, Absolute Maniacs. Jiraiya was mumbling to himself as Naruto walked in. The Sannin had apparently made base camp in the abandoned room Kakashi had first taken Team 7 to, and was now kneeling over Sasuke and Hinata. Itachi was pacing in the corner, mumbling to himself, 2 Tomo. He got 2 Tomo already. That's amazing, are they going to be alright? Naruto asked, stepping in. Jiraiya sighed. Yeah, they should be, despite their best efforts to the contrary. Bad enough my ex-partner put a curse mark on them both, they had to go ahead and try and ruin their bodies a bit more before I got to them. No regrets. Chuckled Sasuke from the floor, getting a swat on the back of his head for his trouble. Listen, midgets. Jiraiya declared. Orochimaru was almost as dramatic as I am, but he was not one for vague or fancy naming techniques. If he calls a jutsu the 8-headed serpent, it makes him turn into an 8-headed serpent. If he called this thing the curse mark, then it isn't something you want to agitate just to progress through the exams. We have to make Chunin. Sasuke protested. All 3 of us have made at least 5 separate I need to get stronger speeches since we got back from Wave. I could have gotten you buys, you absolute morons. Jiraiya sighed. Oh. Whiskers. Jiraiya pinched his forehead. Who's up next? Lee is fighting that Gaara guy from Suna. Naruto shrugged. Both are pretty cool. I don't know who I want to win, but I'm pretty sure Lee has it in the bag. Why are you looking at me like that? Guy's not son is fighting Sabaku no Gaara and you think he'll win? Itachi asked, incredulously. I mean, yeah. The blonde blinked back at him. Lee has the 8 gates. He opened the first one in taijutsu training once and trounced the 3 of us at once. He and Sasuke shuddered. That had not been a fun session for Team 7. And he can open 4 of them if he has to? He basically has this tournament in the bag, we've been brainstorming plans just for him. Naruto, Gaara is a Jinchuriki. Jiraiya said, slowly. Yeah, I know. Naruto replied, nonplussed. I'm a Jinchuriki. I could throw a massive snake. Lee can probably throw more than one massive snake. Genius power scaling. Jiraiya looked across at Itachi. The Jonin sighed and moved towards the door. I'll be there to stop them killing each other. Fix up my brother, old man. Itachi body flickered and was gone. Jiraiya took up a pot of red ink and an old-fashioned quill and began drawing on Sasuke's back. I'm going to give you both a crash course in Fuinjutsu, just so you're not completely clueless. Kinda like how hand seals and nature transformations act as instructions for molding chakra, seals are written instructions that mold whatever chakra touches it. Some, like the chakra-activated explosive tags, are relatively simple. Others are more complicated. Seals to hold a tailed beast in your body are pretty damn complicated. Whatever Orochimaru's done to your friends, I gotta admit, even I don't really know how it works. Reassuring. Sasuke drawled. I've seen it before. Admitted Jiraiya. I think you know her, actually. Purple hair, great rack, thing for snakes? Anko has a curse mark? Naruto gaped. Aha! Jiraiya grinned. I was able to get pretty intimate with her curse mark. Now both these clan trust fund babies, hey, have different marks to each and other and to Miss Midarashi. Marks you just might recognize. They were the same marks as on the scrolls we carried through the forest. Naruto explained to his confused-looking teammate. I had a lot of time waiting in the cave. Sasuke has the earth symbol on his neck, Hinata has the heaven symbol. Jiraiya nodded. And the amount of Senjutsu chakra I can sense off these is even higher than in Anko-sen. What now? Natural energy. Jiraiya extrapolated. An extra dimension to a ninja's arsenal most people never get to learn. Teach me. Later. Jiraiya dismissed him and started muttering to himself. I didn't think you could manage Sage Mode. That's what happens when you turn your body into snakes, you old shit. But apparently you found some other crazy cheating way to do it. This is just like you or my teammates going to be okay? Naruto interrupted. Yes. The Toad Sage sighed, going back to drawing on Sasuke's back. I can't remove the marks, but I can put my own seal on top of them to control them. Your teammates will still be able to turn them on deliberately, although that's a terrible idea, but otherwise they won't activate unless they completely lose control. He finished, and put his hand on Sasuke's back. Now scram. But I wanna stay. Naruto complained. I can't concentrate while you're agonizing over my every move. Jiraiya countered. Your fight could be any minute, go back to the stands. We'll be fine, Naruto. Sasuke reassured. Unhappy, the blonde left. You sent him out because it's gonna hurt, didn't you? Sasuke concluded, once Naruto was gone. A lot. Jiraiya confirmed, channeling his chakra. There will probably be screaming. Sasuke scoffed. Look, I don't know who you're used to dealing with, but I'm an Uchiha. Holy fuck. When Naruto reached the arena, he was greeted with Temari and Shikamaru stood at other sides of the arena staring at each other. Hey, why aren't Gaara and Lee fighting? He asked Itachi. They already finished. The Jonin still seemed somewhat shell-shocked. Lee won that fast? Nope. Gaara won? Did he? Lee went fifth gate? Itachi cut across. It wasn't enough. Gaara's arsenal is pretty much built to take down melee fighters. And ranged fighters. And, well, I'll show you the match later. Naruto whistled. Okay, great. I'll just throw out all my anti-Lee plans then. He wandered over to the edge of the stands. In the arena, Temari had just blown another wind gust at Shikamaru, who had jumped behind a tree to avoid the attack. Anyway, I'm next? Okay. Naruto started stretching. Better get warmed up, this could end any minute. 45 minutes later. Okay, one adult-sized genin or one child-sized jonin? Does the jonin have the same chakra reserves? No, it's like a jonin mind, but in a normal child's body, so same chakra and fitness. And then the other one's an idiot, but with a jonin's body and stuff? Yeah. I mean, does the jonin in a kid get standard ninja equipment? Because without a knife and some ninja wire, he isn't going to wait. Look, something's happening. Down in the arena, Shikamaru's shadow darted through the shadow of a shuriken parachute he had set into the sky. The audience watched with bated breath as Temari darted backwards and just managed to keep away from the shadow. The audience collectively groaned. Come on! Get it over with already! Sasuke and Hinata had both recovered from their curse mark ceiling and joined Naruto in the stadium. The match was still going on. Hey, fuck off! Temari snapped at the crowd. This is what real ninja battles look like sometimes. She's distracted. Itachi noted. So what? Naruto waved his hand dismissively, flopped back in his seat. It's not like Shik's gonna do anything about it. Sasuke's eyes widened. No, he has. Look! While Temari had been glaring at the spectators, Shikamaru had thrown a kunai. Now his shadow stretched out towards Temari, through the shadow of the parachute, through the shadow of the still-moving kunai, and tagged her. The crowd held their breath. Locked in his shadow possession jutsu, Temari was forced to walk towards Shikamaru until they were face to face. Shikamaru moved his hand to his crotch. Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Temari asked with a heavy blush as her own hands followed suit. Shikamaru's hand lingered for a moment, before reaching for the, deliberately in a peculiar place, kunai holster on his inner thigh. He drew the blade. Temari's hand came up empty, but she sighed in relief. And a little disappointment, not that she'd ever admit it. Are you going to make me do this? Shikamaru asked, boredly, holding the kunai up to her throat. I forfeit. Temari bit out. Victory to Shikamaru. Gekko drawled, from where he had been sat reading one of Jiraiya's books. The crowd universally cheered. Oh, shut up! Final match, Naruto vs. Choji. Finally! I know, right? I would have had my third lunch by now. Naruto looked across at Choji with a raised eyebrow. When did you have your second? Ino's leftover rations. This diet she's on is great. It doesn't really sound healthy for a ninja. No, it's great for me. Oh, got it. Are both contestants ready? Gekko interrupted. They nodded. All right. Let the final round of the preliminaries begin. Naruto grinned and put his hands together. Null. The training seal on his back deactivated, and he charged to meet Choji. Despite his obviously unhealthy eating habits, Choji was one of the more genuinely competent of the Konoha genin. He was the son of a prominent ninja clan, and had always been able to completely trounce Naruto in sparring, not unlike everyone else in his class except sometimes Sakura. But now Naruto had been training with Might Guy every day for almost 2 months, and the time he spent not working with that taijutsu monster, he wore the training seal that applied resistance to all his movements. The difference caused by suddenly moving through air and not cement was one not easy to calculate, but the result was obvious. Naruto blitzed forwards and punched Choji flat in the stomach, with enough force to send him skidding to a halt halfway across the arena. Choji coughed once. The Konoha genin, and most of their sensei, looked on in shock as the orange-clad boy lifted up his fist and flexed it in front of his face with a perplexed ha. This was his first time since graduation fighting a fellow genin who hadn't been through the same pain he had. Choji got up, grimacing, and formed hand seals. Akimichi-style ninjutsu. Human bullet tank. His head popped inwards, his body expanded, and a giant spinning ball of human started rolling towards his opponent. Naruto held his ground. Uzumaki-style ninjutsu. He countered. Obey the damn laws of physics. This was a jutsu he had realized he possessed while fighting Orochimaru, and perfected while waiting in the cave. Around him appeared well over 40 shadow clones. The first sprinted straight towards Choji and did the transformation jutsu, turning into a large metal ramp. Choji's glorified hamster ball rolled right up the ramp and into the air. The obey the damn laws of physics jutsu was, at its heart, throwing lots of shadow clones at something big really fast so that it falls over. This is what the shadow clones did, one after the other slamming into the bullet tank, which was a lot less massive than Orochimaru's snake. The successive impacts soon bled dry Choji's forward momentum, then began to send him backwards as he fell, crashing him into the wall of the arena. Naruto grinned and strode forwards. He was confident. For once, not fighting with a desperate bravery, but genuine belief in his own abilities. Note to self, do more of this. Choji sat up and glared across at him. When did you get so strong? Naruto smiled back. I dunno. About last month? Choji huffed. Fair enough. I didn't want to do this, but until you get the rep you deserve, I'm not losing a fight to you. Also, Asuma-sensei will pay for my next meal if I win. Oh damn, really? If my ninja way, trademark, wasn't on the line, I might let you have that. Choji smiled back. From his pocket, he pulled out a brightly colored pill. You see this? Dad says that in the tournament, I can use this one if I really have to. I think this counts as an emergency. He scoffed the ball. What does it do? Naruto asked, back on guard. Converts the calories stored in my body fat into chakra, said Choji, smugly, as wisps of the stuff started to surround him. About how many calories? About as much as I eat on an average night out. OSHIT. Choji blasted forwards and punched Naruto, who caught the strike on his forearm and skidded backwards a couple meters. Choji continued to press, throwing out a few more punches and an elbow, which Naruto blocked before countering with a hooked first that sent Choji into the air. Naruto jumped up and double-kicked down at him, knocking him down to the floor, but Choji landed on his feet and turned Naruto's follow-up away. The following fight could be accurately described as two very strong children beating the stuffing out of each other. Choji and his food pills were stronger than Naruto, so Naruto quickly started summoning shadow clones. Choji responded by using the partial expansion technique to let him hit more of them at once, so Naruto responded by summoning more shadow clones. At this point, Naruto's willingness to get his hands dirty proved to be a problem for him, as it was easy for Choji to keep track of the only one who didn't immediately pop upon being hit, and barrel after him like a juggernaut. So Naruto made his shadow clones who weren't busy substitute with him to throw off that particular method of attack. He didn't actually know how long Choji could stay in this state, but frankly, the Akimichi didn't look like he'd be running out of calories anytime soon. So Naruto resorted to the other technique he'd been practicing in the cave. He used the swing from one of Choji's oversized hands to catapult him up into the air, then put his hands together in a variation of a familiar seal. Namely, one with a spiked star between his palms. Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. Choji could have dodged 1, 2, or even 5 shuriken. He didn't have much to counter the 100 ninja stars that catapulted in a wide arc towards him. Choji used the expansion jutsu to put his hands up as shields, but that still meant he was getting stabbed repeatedly all over his hands, which were designed to be able to feel very acutely. He grit his teeth desperately against the pain. In the stands, Kakashi raised his eyebrow at Jiraiya. You taught him the Hokage's jutsu? Hiruzen was my Jonin sensei, remember? Jiraiya leant back, chuckling. I picked up a few things. You aren't worried about the message that's going to send? Kakashi didn't let up. Worried? I'm counting on it. Jiraiya. Orochimaru has already marked these two. The Toad Sage gestured to Sasuke and Hinata, who were watching the conversation warily. Your kids are good. Really good. Thanks to these exams, everyone knows it, and now everyone knows whose protection Naruto is under. I'm sick of this political bullshit. Sasuke declared. Get used to it, haircut. Sighed Kakashi. Public appearance, manipulation, it's gonna be your whole life sooner or later. It sounds stifling. Hinata commented. That's why it's important to have people you can trust. Jiraiya told her. As one, the two genin looked at each other, then down into the arena. Naruto's jutsu had shredded all his other shadow clones, and the shuriken themselves had dispelled after hitting their target, leaving Choji panting with numerous bleeding cuts on his palms. Naruto was feeling really guilty. Sorry. He called across. I don't want to use that anymore on you, because it's like, really vicious, but I do have the chakra to do it again. Repeatedly. Choji smiled, grimly. Ha. Looks like you've finally grown up a little. Hey, You can apologize by buying me ramen sometime, 'kay? It's a deal. Naruto grinned back. Choji turned to Gekko. I forfeit. The Jonin sighed. Thank God this is finally over. Naruto wins. Woo! Naruto threw his fist up into the air. He could hear his team cheering for him. At least, Sasuke was cheering, but that was about as much as he could hope to get. And with that, the preliminaries are over. Gekko coughed into his fist. Sabaku no Kankuro, Sabaku no Gaara, Uchiha Sasuke, Hinata Hyuuga, Nara Shikamaru, and Uzumaki Naruto. That's 6, right? Yeah, that 6 will progress to the final round of the Chunin exams. Yeah. In 1 month. Yeah, what? Psychopaths trying really hard to have a party like normal people. Yeah. Gekko confirmed. A month. What? Why? So we can milk the international visitors for more money. Have you not realized yet that this is basically a massive tourist trap? When this is over, I'm writing a massive rant blog on Ninja Tumblr. Naruto groused. Alright, if you need a reason, it's because we're giving you time to prepare. Gekko explained. We're going to tell you who you'll be fighting first so you can prepare to fight them specifically. Okay, I get we need to prepare for assassinations. Naruto admitted. But in what situation are 2 ninja going to know they're going to fight, then wait a month preparing, then go into I can still disqualify you? Gekko warned. Naruto pouted and stayed silent. The rest of the Chunin hopefuls gathered in the center of the arena as Gekko pulled a set of cards from his pocket, then began unceremoniously dumping most of them onto the ground. All right. He said, eventually. I have 6 cards here. Actually, he dropped another. Now I have 6 cards. He held them out face down. Everybody pick one. The 6 acquiesced. All right. What are your numbers? 1. Said Sasuke, eyeing Hinata. 2. Said Hinata, eyeing Sasuke. 3. Kankuro dutifully reported. Shikamaru held up 4 fingers. 5. Stated Gaara, with the significance of a celestial decree. And 6. Declared Naruto, striking a pose. All right, great. Gekko deadpanned. That is the order of your fights. First, 1 fights 2. Then 3 fights 4, and 5 fights 6. The reaction from the 6 was immediate. Kankuro and Shikamaru continued to completely ignore each other. Both Jinchuriki turned to look at each other, and both tailed beasts stirred within their stomachs. Sasuke and Hinata locked eyes. Our fight should not be as crazy as theirs will inevitably be. Sasuke decided. Agreed. Said Hinata. Both desperately quashed their competitive instincts. The first day of the final round will contain fights 1 and 2. The second day will contain fight 3, and the fight between the 2 winners of the previous day. Then on day 3, the winner of those 2 fights will compete in the final. That means I will only get 2 matches. Gaara said, with a hint of threat. Assuming you beat me. Naruto pointed a finger at him. Yes. When that happens. Oh ho, you are so on. I'm sorry, if 4 less or 4 more of you had passed, then we wouldn't have this problem. Gekko shot back. But no, now there's 6 of you. Also, we do not want the Jinchuriki fighting any more than they have to in case they start murdering the spectators. You rigged handing out the cards just now? Naruto was aghast. Gekko looked at him flatly. Kami, I need a drink. Everything is rigged. Nothing is fair. Everyone is out to get you. Welcome to the life of a ninja. With that, he vanished. The 6 looked at each other. Now what? The answer to that question was, of course, to throw a party. Naruto had originally just planned to invite Sasuke and Hinata around to his apartment to celebrate victory, but then he had thought he should probably invite Shikamaru as well, since they were friends too, and then he had realized that it would be unfair to invite the Nara without also inviting the rest of his team, so that meant Ino and Choji were also coming, and then he decided it would be unfair not to also bring Gaara, which naturally meant his teammates had to come too, and then Naruto decided if he was going to include people who hadn't won anyway, he may as well invite Team Guy. Tenten was watching over Lee, who had been injured in his fight against Gaara, but Sai still wanted to come, and then he had decided that Sakura's team might feel left out, so he invited them too, and then Itachi had officially taken over and redirected the party to the Uchiha compound, because there was no way the 15 people Naruto had just included would fit in his tiny little apartment. Itachi had then gone ahead and included all the team sensei plus Jiraiya in the invite because Fugaku is going to fucking hate this, and I am here for it. Which was what led to the Uchiha Grand Hall being retrofit with tables stacked with food, a stereo with massive speakers, one ramen stand courtesy of Ichiraku's, and at least 3 targets for kunai throwing competitions. Somewhere along the line most of the failed ninja from the other nations had been invited, along with at least 5 Umbu, Iruka-sensei, the parents of a few ninja clans, and the Hokage. Even the sensei of the 3 sound ninja was here, arguing heatedly with whichever jonin would talk to him. Not all had originally wanted to come, but you try saying no to an infectiously happy Naruto with a shadow clone's lack of self-preservation. By one wall, Itachi had set up something of a cinema by casting a Genjutsu on some willing genin. They were all watching a Sharingan-enhanced replay of all the fights that had occurred so far, and were to all appearances sat munching popcorn watching a brick wall. Stood off to one side in a defensive formation were the 3 Sand siblings. As Gaara and Kankuro had delivered particularly intimidating matches, they had ensured that almost nobody wanted to interact with them. That was until Naruto rolled up on a swivel chair. "Gaara, Gaara, Gaara!" he shouted. "Itachi showed me your match against Lee. You were amazing. I saw you use that sand force field thing you told me about that one time, it was so cool." "Thank you," Gaara replied, smiling in that creepy, slightly dead-eyed way of his. "Oh, and you too as well." Naruto turned to the other 2 Sand genin. "Kankuro, your match was hilarious. Temari, yours was boring as anything, but once I had Itachi give me the abridged version it was actually really interesting." "Thank you, I think." Temari demurred. "Shikamaru was one hell of an opponent." "I don't like him," Kankuro admitted, trying to pick the Nara out from the crowd. "He keeps looking at me suspiciously." Temari swatted her brother. "And what would you know about a tactical fight? I don't know anyone in Suna who's as good a tactician as him, except our Kazekage of course. He's actually pretty good looking too." Temari blushed a little and looked off into the middle distance. Kankuro looked at his sister like she had grown a second head. The green-clad boy was very challenging. Gaara mused. It was incredibly difficult not to kill him. "Yeah, I feel you." Naruto sighed. "I've had to train with him." "You think you want to kill him after a fight? Wait till he convinces his sensei to take you all through another 5 laps of the hidden village." There was definitely some Q-beat stirring the first time that happened. "So why did you restrain yourself?" Gaara asked, tilting his head. Naruto blinked, not really understanding the question. "Well, as painful as it is, training with him does make me stronger. And if I kill him, I won't be able to fight him again." "Intriguing," Gaara mused. "I was going to use the sand coffin to crush your friend's leg into pieces, but I hesitated. At the time I wasn't sure why, but now I think it was for the reason you just described." He frowned. "Explain it to me one more time, I'm having trouble grasping it." "If you leave people alive to get stronger, they keep being a fun fight as you get stronger." Naruto recited, dutifully. "I see, I used to believe that people only existed for me to prove my own ability, and that those below me were nothing," explained the One-Tails. "But letting the weak live because they have potential. Thank you, Naruto. You have given me a lot to think about." Temari looked between them in confusion. "Did you just convince Gaara to value human life? Who the hell are you?" "Uzumaki Naruto." He grinned at her. "Future Hokage." "Drink, sir?" Sai walked up to a jonin on the edge of the party, holding 2 glasses of punch. The man looked down at him and smiled. Sure. Thanks, kid. Sai handed the beverage over and leaned on the wall next to him, looking out over the party with lips casually upturned. The man took a sip of his drink. Report. The Hyuuga heiress continues to perform well above all expectations, Sai said, expression not changing. She adapted quickly to new circumstances and showed no hesitation using potentially lethal techniques. I was forced to show more power than authorized to push her limits, and she rose admirably to the challenge. The man nodded. Our master forgives your use of the bird summon, Sai. Is there anything else you think is important to mention? Hinata was willing to render herself unconscious in order to succeed. I believe she is easily willing to make personal sacrifices to achieve her goals. That saves us having to train it into her. The man noted. However, Sai cautioned, I do not think she will give her life if ordered, not yet. She is obsessed with the murder of her older brother Neji, and gives no other objective higher precedence. Do you believe that her team will be a problem? The man asked. If Sai hadn't purged all his emotions long ago, he would have laughed. He did anyway, if only to preserve his persona to anyone watching. She doesn't care about them. They will go to great lengths for her, I think, but not the other way around. Hinata is the type of person to view others as chess pieces. Some more valuable than others, but all fit for sacrifice, bar herself. Is that so? The man finished his drink. I'm sure our master will find this very useful, Sai. Thank you for the punch. It was my pleasure, Yamado. I will continue my surveillance. Sasuke. Sasuke took a deep breath, released it, put a smile on his face, and turned around. Hi, Sakura, the pink-haired, admittedly a little cute, girl ran up to him, and then did that thing she liked to do with her posture where she put her hands together and bent forwards, and Kami, he was sick of it. Sasuke, your fight was amazing. She gushed. The way you beat Tenten at her own game, and that cool handspring you did, it was awesome. Thank you. He replied, trying to be polite. I'm sure you would have had a great fight too, but apparently the actual terrorists were the ones who stopped you getting through, so that wasn't really fair. Yet she looked really angrily at the floor for a moment. But still, I'm sure it wouldn't have been as cool as yours. I bet you'll be able to beat all the others, no problem. Sasuke thought. Did you see Lee's match? His and Gaara's was pretty awesome. It was? As good as yours? She seemed doubtful. As good as it was way better. Sasuke scoffed. Actually, come here. He grabbed her hand. Presumably overwhelmed somewhat by the voluntary physical contact, she followed. Hey bro! Sasuke called out to Itachi. Show Sakura the Lee Gaara fight. He then flung an easily detected genjutsu at his brother that said make him look like really cool. And attractive. We have got to find you a girlfriend, Sasuke. Itachi's voice deadpanned into his head, even as he smiled benignly at Sakura and directed her to sit down and face the wall. Girlfriends later. Ninja stuff now. One day you will grow a pair and regret this decision. Maybe. But not yet. Dead? Itachi exclaimed. Dead? Echoed the sound team's sensei. Dead. Confirmed the third Hokage. The 3 and their guards were all found killed after they failed to report to TNI. Can I see them? Please? Their sensei's bottom lip trembled. I doubt you will find much solace in it. The third warned him. All 5 bodies appear to have been, he coughed, liquefied. The sound jonin put his hand to his heart and gasped. How barbaric! Why would anyone do such a thing? Now the Yamanaka can't find out anything. Itachi grimaced. Fuck. If we didn't know they were guilty before, we sure do now. I should have stayed with them, damn it, not handed them off, then perhaps we would have lost you as well. Hiruzen put a palm on his shoulder. If our prime suspect is the one responsible, I would not like to risk you fighting him alone. I could have taken Snake Face. Itachi groused. The sound Jonin gasped. You don't mean, he lowered his voice to a whisper, Orochimaru? The dangerous, terrifying, devilishly attractive member of the Sannin? Indeed. Hiruzen stated, grimly. Outrageous! The man exclaimed. First you accuse my students of treason, then you allow them to be murdered in the middle of your own village? I will be spreading the word of your incompetence to Village Sound's leader. Good day, sirs. He spun dramatically on his heel, flicked his hair, and walked away. That was definitely Orochimaru, wasn't it? Itachi watched his retreating back. I don't believe even he would be that bold. Hiruzen admitted. Orochimaru, walking out, could not believe he had just gotten away with that. Sasuke wondered how exactly he had ended up sat diametrically opposite to Hinata. He hadn't meant to, he had planned to make a show of solidarity out of sitting next to her, but there hadn't been enough room on the couch without getting uncomfortably close, and now he was awkwardly staring her down. Kakashi and Jiraiya were watching them both bemusedly, the latter regularly downing sips of sake. This is silly, Hinata said. I agree. Sasuke nodded. We're friends, right? I think we've reached that point, yes. She replied. So even though we have to fight in a month, we shouldn't be contentious about it. He continued. Exactly. She replied. They continued to stare each other down. Hey sensei. Sasuke asked, not looking away from Hinata. I don't suppose you know any Sharingan techniques that Itachi can't or won't teach me? While you're at it, sensei, Hinata said, also not breaking eye contact. Guy says you know a powerful lightning release jutsu. As lightning is my primary elemental affinity, I'd like to learn that, if it's possible. Really? I'd like to learn that too. Sasuke didn't blink. The Uchiha all primarily use fire, but Itachi has taught me the basics of lightning release. Kakashi held up a hand. Actually, I don't think I'll be teaching either of you anything. What? They both turned to him. I don't want to be seen as favoring one of you over the other. He explained. Especially with the obscene amount of gambling money that's going to be resting on this fight. No matter what I do, I'm going to get hitmen sent after me, but I'd rather limit the number if at all possible. Fair enough. Sasuke acknowledged. Gambling, huh? Can you put me down for 100 ryo on myself? Hinata's gaze flicked to him, then back to Kakashi. Same for me. 200. Sasuke opened his mouth. Guys, did you know Suna doesn't actually have ramen? How have they survived? The tension was cut by Naruto jumping down on the sofa next to Jiraiya, to Kakashi's audible relief. Woo! Naruto! Shouted the Toad Sannin, decidedly drunk by this point. Hey, can you do that one jutsu with the pretty blonde girls and the conveniently PG steam? Naruto frowned. The sexy jutsu? Why would you want a bunch of naked girls at a party? Why wouldn't you want a bunch of naked girls at a party? Jiraiya belly laughed and reached for the sake. Kakashi took it off him with a cough. Naruto, we were just discussing how training was going to work in preparation for the finals. Obviously, I can't really join in when it comes to turning you all against each other, but I have no problem trying to help you take down Gaara. So you're mooching us off to other sensei. Sasuke rolled his eyes. How unlike you. Hey, Itachi has already told me he's not taking any missions on until after the exams specifically to help you. Kakashi admitted. And frankly he's, way better than me. As for Naruto, eyes will do it. Shouted Jiraiya, standing up in place before flipping down again. I will train the Naruto. He sh my legacy. The most amazing ninja in ever. Yay. Naruto tried to inch away, but Jiraiya grabbed him and pulled him into a bear hug, resulting in a blubbering, complaining mess. And what about me? asked Hinata, quietly. Well for you, Hinata, came a shout. Might Guy slid amongst the group and knelt in front of the Hyuga. May I say that I was awed by your fight in the arena? He said, eyes closed though forced upon you by outside agents. Your commitment to using no ninjutsu was inspiring and cleverly executed. Lee could learn a lot from you. I therefore, Guy shouted, grabbing one of her hands in his. With my students out of the tournament, I have no recourse but to assist you in your preparation for the finals. Kakashi says that as all of his team got further than mine, I am obligated as a forfeit to train you, and while I do not recall making such a bet, I am certain that my good friend and longtime rival would never lie to me. Sasuke looked across at a whistling Kakashi. You're a fucking despicable person, you know that? I thank you, Guy-sensei. Hinata answered the green-clothed Jonin, working her hand free of his and wiping it on Jiraiya. I would be honored to receive your training. Excellent. Guy stood and struck a pose. We commence tomorrow. I will not stop my daily training of your whole team, however, as that would not be sporting. Now, I must return to Lee's bedside. The doctors say it will take him 5 weeks to recover, but I have challenged him to make it 4. I will not abandon him to such an endeavor alone. Farewell. He vanished in a cloud of dust, not due to a body flicker, just from running off really fast. What do they feed him? Sasuke wondered. Get off me, old man. I'm not one of your smelly toads. Of course. You must drink with the toads. Whereas my contract, Jiraiya, do not summon Gamabunta inside. Act 3 violence is cool, but have you tried friendship? Training montage number 3 Gaara is perfectly fine. 10 years earlier. Are you sure this is okay? Neji asked, following Itachi into the woods. Sure. Itachi breezed. Relax, none of my clan is gonna know. He knows how to keep a secret. I wasn't sure it would be fair. Neji continued, still uncertain. You shouldn't have to find someone from your clan to help me train. Oh yeah, and who's gonna train you? Itachi replied. The main branch? Neji's silence was telling. He's not going to favor one of us over the other, he's cool like that. Itachi waved his friend off. And to be honest, we could both learn from him. He's like me, but cooler. High praise, coming from you. Neji drawled. They reached a clearing, and its other occupants stood up and turned to them with a smile. Hey Itachi. And you must be Neji. Uchiha Shursui crossed his arms. So, let me guess. You want to learn some cool new murder techniques? Present day the month began. So I'm an official summoner now? Naruto confirmed, looking dubiously at the contract. I know you said it was important at the time, but was me drinking with Gamabunta, and then riding him around the Uchiha Gardens, really part of the summoning contract? The drinking part was, the ride was just because he didn't like you. Jiraiya explained. Having recovered from his hangover, he and Kakashi had taken Naruto out into the forest for some private practice. So my 4-month ban from Sasuke's compound is for nothing? Naruto glared at him. Yeah, but it was worth it for the look on Fugaku's face. Grinned Jiraiya. We can get into the technicalities of summoning later, but first, strategy. Naruto wrinkled his nose. What's the point in strategy? It's a one-on-one fight. Think about it. Kakashi intervened. You're stood across the arena from Gaara. Gekko goes match start. What's your opening move? Naruto frowned. I punch him? Okay, so he blocks that with his sand wall. What next? Kakashi looked at him emotionlessly. I punch him again? He blocks that too. Unless you can get as fast as Hinata in these 30 days, punching him when he's prepared isn't going to do anything. Try something else. Naruto scowled. Fine. I use the Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. He makes a sand wall and blocks them. I make shadow clones. And what do they do? Punch him? He blocks them with a sand wall. And then destroys them. Naruto stomped his foot angrily. You can't just say that every time. I can. Kakashi said, levelly. Because he will. I'm not being contentious, Naruto, I'm trying to make you think. If you'd gone into the fight right now, you would have tried all of those things first, to no effect, wasting time, effort, and chakra. Okay, so maybe strategizing is important. Naruto admitted. So think, boy. Jiraiya took over. The first step is to understand what you can do, and what your opponent can do. You've seen him fight, and it was against a strong enough opponent that you know he wasn't holding back. However, he's also seen you fight. As Kakashi had neatly explained, Gaara knows you don't know anything that can touch him. And that's bad? No, actually it's good. Oh, come on. In a normal fight, you'd have to make a plan, then make a plan to counter their plan, then make a plan to counter their counter for your counter, up to about the power of 5. Unless it's Hashirama versus Madara, in which case it goes up to like 12. But as Gaara, knows right now he could beat you, seemed a very passive fighter against Lee and, is completely insane, I doubt he'll bother, meaning you get to shape the fight. Naruto snorted. Gaara's not insane. The two jonin looked at each other. Naruto, said Kakashi, slowly. What do you think of him? As a person? What, Gaara? Naruto shrugged. Yeah, Gaara's great. He's always smiling, he's got interesting political views, fun to talk to, why are you looking at me like that? Jiraiya twitched. Have you ever actually met Gaara? Trust me. Naruto placated. Gaara's probably out there right now doing some unquestionably nice things. Gaara starred. I wonder, what potential do you have? The red fox squealed, desperately trying to free itself. So that's what the fox says. Gaara mused. It's just I'm trying to put into practice what Naruto was talking about. I could kill you right now. Pour sand into every orifice of your body until your blood dried up. The animal was fortunately not capable of understanding that. It kept struggling. What would killing you achieve? Not much. It would be fun, a little. It wouldn't take much effort. But what else could you do? You're not very likely to grow to provide me with a fighting challenge. The fox let out a low moan. But maybe that was just an example. You're not a ninja, you're an animal. Gaara shifted forwards, and the sand moved the fox to make it meet his eyes. So if I didn't want to kill you, what else could I do with you? He's probably, I dunno, playing with animals, or visiting Lee in the hospital. Oh crap, I need to do that, Naruto continued, making a mental note. Kakashi shared another glance with Jiraiya. Okay, so we'll skip the psychological evaluation part now before we get to brainstorming. There are 3 questions you have to answer in the next 30 days. What can you learn? What do you need to learn? And who can you learn it from? Sasuke finished his stretches. Okay, spill Oniai-chan. What's so important you brought me all the way out into the woods? Itachi pulled a sealing scroll from his pocket, smiling. What, am I not allowed to spend personal time with my brother? We were already training every day, asshole. That is true. Itachi sat down with his scroll. Well, basically I don't trust Hinata's Byakugan while we're still in the village. If she was Neji, she'd still be able to see us from tens of kilometers away, but I'm pretty sure she hasn't gotten that strong yet. You think she's spying on me? Sasuke asked. You haven't been spying on her? Itachi countered. I mean, I've tried. Sasuke sighed. But she always just stops moving and stares at me until I go away. The Byakugan is bullshit. It does have a lot more utility than our own dojutsu, admitted Itachi. But yes, I want this to be kept a secret from her. What are you teaching me? Sasuke asked, trying to contain his excitement. Itachi didn't do small. When recounting the fight against Sabuza, you complained that your kunai didn't have enough reach to fight him effectively. Itachi began. You expressed similar issues when fighting against Orochimaru, and against Tenten. Against Hinata you will have a slightly different problem. Your ideal melee range is exactly where she wants you to be. I don't suppose you can beat her in a taijutsu spar? I've almost beaten her. Sometimes. Sasuke hedged. And if you almost survive against a hostile force, you've still died. Itachi pointed out. You need a way to keep her out of melee range that doesn't cede her momentum or control over the fight. And what would you recommend? Sasuke asked. Itachi gave a small smile Sasuke was all too familiar with. Tell me, how much did the academy teach you about kenjutsu? Hinata fell back under Guy's punches, but was unable to stop the sweep that put her on the floor. The sky was overcast, and the grass was wet with rain. She coughed once. Impressive work, my young student. You grow stronger and faster by the day. She grimaced and got back to her feet, returning to the gentle fist-opening stance. Again. The fires of your youth burn brightly. Guy acknowledged, but he frowned. Though your motivation seems to come less from enthusiasm and more from grim determination. Why is that? Why does it matter? She asked, defensively. Guy took a long look at her, then shifted out of stance. Because it just might decide the outcome of the entire battle. Rest for a moment. She sighed and drew herself back up to full height, trying to stabilize her breathing. She was used to being good at taijutsu. She was better than Lee, honest, he just cheated and didn't feel pain. Guy was better than her. Way better. Understanding why you fight is almost as important as being able to do so. Guy impressed. The battle of the flesh is tied deeply to the battle of the mind. A lack of conviction saps your strength, hollow beliefs make your defenses crack under pressure, and thoughtless determination ruins your accuracy. The last is especially important for one with your style, and unfortunately it's where I fear you yourself are the most affected. I know what I'm doing. She bit back. And why I'm doing it. Is that so? Guy crouched down so he could meet her eyes. Tell me. In a matter of weeks you will go out to face your teammate in combat. Why? To win the tournament. Why? To pass the Chunin exams. Why? I don't understand. No reason is a wrong reason. Guy reassured. Desiring the glory or the admittedly substantial cash prize isn't exactly noble, but it's as true a reason as any other. Is it for the sense of the achievement? Does it open up new options? Is it part of a larger goal? Hinata thought about it, looking down to the floor. If I beat Sasuke, I can take part in up to 2 more fights against strong opponents, which will help me improve. It also makes it more likely I will be promoted to Chunin after. That rank means I get to take on harder missions, but also she debated whether or not to reveal the next part, but then decided it wasn't much of a secret. Certain secrets of my clan are sealed away, even from me, that require certain seniority to access. There's a vault under my compound. Neji shouldn't have known all summoning. He couldn't have learned some of the things her father had mentioned. I'm only allowed in once I turn 18, or once I reach the rank of Chunin. Guy nodded in understanding. Pursuit of strength. Some say noble, others disagree. But go deeper. Do you want power for power's sake, or is there another goal you need power to achieve? Hinata sighed in defeat and resolved to lay all her cards on the table. Neji. I need to become strong enough to beat him. Guy stood back up. And now the most important question. How hard are you willing to work to achieve that goal? I would level mountains. Hinata declared. I would build skyscrapers and destroy cities, swim to the depths of the oceans, and walk the breadth of the world. I would work until my bones turned to ash if it meant I could bring him down. Lightning flashed to punctuate her words. Guy leapt back and struck a pose. Yash! Now we have reached the heart of the issue. Your true determination has been found. Come, young Hyuuga. Ride the wave of your realization and attack. You're going to teach me to sword fight? Sasuke's face lit up. Itachi nodded. Not exclusively, but yes. That Sharingan means you can definitely pick it up in a matter of weeks, and I know a few jutsu that couple well with it. It will probably take you a little longer to be able to form hand seals with one free hand, but you will be able to transition from kenjutsu to ninjutsu or taijutsu quickly enough by the time you get into the fight. Sasuke didn't even try to hide his glee. Sword fighting was Itachi's thing. Itachi was teaching him Itachi's thing. 13 years of hero worship had led up to this moment. Before we begin, I have a confession to make. Itachi held a hand up, then put the other one down on his sealing scroll. A couple months ago, you stole one of the 7 ninja swordsman's swords. You are definitely the youngest of us to do that. You are not, however, the first. He put some chakra into the seal, and in a puff of smoke appeared 2 thin blades. Is that Sasuke was in awe? Kiba. Itachi nodded. Fangs. Or Rado, if it makes you uncomfortable that they have the same name as your Inuzuka classmate. Admittedly, I got them from someone who was definitely not one of the 7, just some mist jonin who thought he was much better than he really was. Their actual owner was killed by Might Dai. Guy never mentioned he fought the 7. Sasuke frowned. Not Guy. Itachi corrected. Dai. Guy's father. It was the 3rd Great Ninja War. The 7 ninja swordsmen all took to the battlefield at once, and Dai, the absolute maniac, opened the 8th gate and beat all of them in the most dramatic moment of the entire war. He died immediately afterwards, but damn. I have it recorded on Sharingan, actually. Weren't you, like, 4 or 5 when the war ended? Sasuke pointed out. Itachi gave him a look. I activated my Sharingan after my first kill, in that war. I was 4. Right, you're amazing, I get it. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Does that mean you've also copied how to use these things? Oh, you bet. Itachi picked one up and handed it over. You're too small to use both, but one should be perfect for you. Sasuke took it as Itachi continued explain. Rado is permanently imbued with lightning release chakra, don't ask me how they did it, which first of all means it boosts sliding jutsu if you can manage to cast them with your offhand, and second of all means it's really fucking sharp. I know you're used to fighting with lethal weapons, but please don't try and decapitate your teammate with it. Got it. Sasuke looked down the length of the blade, using his Sharingan to better analyze its details and dimensions. Then he snorted. You had Uchiha clan rules engraved on them? Itachi nodded, grinning. By the same guy that put Big Bloody Cleaver on Zabuza's sword. Tenten's dad, actually. He was both horrified and in stitches at the prospect. We should start a campaign of engraving derogatory nicknames on all the swords. Well, Samahata is currently held by Kisame and is technically sentient, but sure, aim big. Itachi picked up the other sword and got into position. Now watch me with the Sharingan. I'm going to run through some of the basic kata, then we're going to start hitting each other. We're going to spar with some of the sharpest swords in existence? You're not good enough to hit me, and I'm good enough not to hit you. That's fair enough. Sitting down, Sasuke powered up his eyes and watched the show. Temari let herself into the Sand siblings' apartment with a sigh, after a long day of training. Leaf had lent them the place to stay, the Kazekage's name opening plenty of doors. When she walked into the communal room, she paused. Gaara? She asked. What is this? The host of an incredibly dangerous demonic beast smiled at her from across the room. It's a fox. I see that. Temari looked down. The animal in the center of the carpet looked absolutely terrified. Noticing that Gaara's sand had finally drifted away from it, it scampered away, not towards the exits, but to Temari, curling around her legs and shivering. It's house-trained. Gaara explained. I taught it that if it tries to escape it gets hurt. That's nice. Temari looked towards the room's other occupant. Kankuro shook his head in silent denial. So this was just Garb being Gaara, then? Is this because of Naruto? Temari asked. You know, because it's a fox, and I didn't think of that, actually. Gaara replied, conversationally. Although now that I think about it, Shikaka may be pushing me towards related imagery. Oh, good. Temari leaned down, awkwardly, and pet the fox. It moved closer to her. Why, exactly, did you bring a fox home, brother? I was trying to think of uses for it other than killing it for my own amusement. Gaara explained. And I thought you might like it. Oh. Temari nodded. Right. Thank you. You're welcome. Smiled Gaara. Then I'll just. Temari gestured. Take it into my room? Sure. Gaara replied, non-committally, and went back to staring out the window. Temari picked up the very limp fox and walked off with it, depositing it on her bed and flopping down next to it. She began staring dead-eyed at the wall, trying to figure out what had just happened. Kankuro followed her in soon after. Something's fucked up with Gaara. He summarized. Yeah, no shit. Temari agreed. This place has done something to him. Do you think it's Uzumaki? He said that the Kyuubi's presence was making Shikako more restless. Kankuro pointed out. That doesn't make you adopt a fucking fox. And how did he even train a fox? I didn't even know you could domesticate those. It's Gaara. Temari reminded him. And that wasn't what I meant. Naruto's nice to him. He doesn't notice or doesn't care that Gaara's a complete monster. He tries to make friends with him anyway, and Gaara's actually responding to that. My insane little brother's finally getting a hang of things. Kankuro shook his head. I'd give Naruto a kiss if this wasn't the worst possible time for him to be doing it. Temari understood what he was insinuating. Gaara won't defect. We'd know if he stopped following orders, because he'd be killing everyone he saw until he met another Jinchuriki and they annihilated each other. That's been true so far. But if Naruto gives him a different reason not to kill people, Temari gave her brother a searching look. Despite how he sometimes acted, Kankuro was a lot smarter than he looked. Do we report this to Baki? He would only make it worse if he tried to intervene. I vote we keep it to ourselves. Kankuro reasoned. Let Gaara learn some empathy over the month, bring Konoha to its knees, then reap the rewards of Naruto's friendship. God, you make us sound like the monsters. Temari shivered a little. We're ninja. We follow orders. Kankuro reasoned. He pointed at the fox. Temari realized she'd absently been stroking it. Are you going to get rid of that? And tell Gaara I didn't want his gift? I choose life, thanks. Temari snorted. Besides, it's actually kinda cute. Oh, for you're really going to get attached to it? Fuck off, it's a present from my little brother. She pouted and shifted closer to the fox. Kankuro sighed and turned away. I'm going to work on my puppets. You have to figure out how to feed that thing. And I'm not picking up its waste. She flagged him off as he left, sighing and turning to her new pet. It blinked up at her. I'm going to have to think of a name for you. White Eye's Christmas special Coswilry about to get one. All I want for Christmas is you. Will you be the savior of the broken? Dun do when I was a young Naruto, shut the fuck up. Sasuke dove onto Naruto, tackling him from his position on top of the piano, in what he probably thought was a seductive lounge. Hinata continued to idly play the keys and sing to herself. It was Christmas Eve, and Team 7 had been released from training to go enjoy the festivities or whatever. I don't care, I have books to read. Jiraiya released a Christmas special, and I have my priorities straight. Hey Hinata, I didn't know you could play an instrument? Naruto mentioned, rolling around with Sasuke. Sometimes I needed to do something so I didn't have to think, but was too exhausted to train. Hinata explained. Edgy. Sasuke remarked, punching. Awesome. Can I learn? Naruto asked, kicking. Well, you need to spend a lot of time practicing. I have shadow clones, Naruto dismissed, freeing himself from his grapple with Sasuke and jumping up onto the piano stool, having to press incredibly close to Hinata, not that she minded in the slightest. I can practice all day and night, with 5 people at once. Show me the notes, I want to learn Smash Mouth. Glad to see Hinata's going for some last-minute Santa karma. Sasuke remarked, rubbing his wrist and standing up. Not sure if it counts this close to Christmas Day. Hinata glowered at nothing in particular. Sure. Santa. Generous man. Sasuke gave her a funny look. You don't get any presents? I mean, I understand Naruto because he's naughty all the time, but you always seem polite and stuff. As one, this two on the piano stool turned round to look at him. Sasuke, do you? Naruto looked like he was trying not to laugh. Do you believe in Santa? What do you mean believe in him? He's real. Sasuke blinked. Naruto burst into laughter. Ah. Hey, screw you, he's real. Sasuke defended. Hinata, back me up. Hinata? The Hyuuga girl just looked down at the floor and shook her head, looking like she was desperately suppressing a laugh. Sasuke, how would Santa possibly deliver presents to all the children? Know exactly what to get them? Duh. He's some really powerful ninja who just wants to help out. Sasuke replied, looking uncertain. And he only does our village. It never snows in Suna, and most of the other villages teach their kids to murder cats. Then why doesn't he help the village when it's in danger? Naruto challenged. He doesn't want to hurt people, he just wants to give presents. What about all the kids who are total dicks all year but still get presents? Santa is merciful. But not to Naruto? I mean, he is Naruto. Hey, screw you. Sasuke. Hinata sighed. I have been living alone for the last 5 years. I do not prank, insult, or hurt anyone. I receive a monthly trust fund. I do not get Christmas presents. Ever. I get a card from Iruka-sensei and a card from the old man. Naruto added. That's it. That's what happens if we don't have parents. No, because Sasuke was looking between them. Because that would Santa isn't real? His two teammates looked at each other. Looked back. Naruto started laughing again. Tenten looked up from the counter to see who had just entered the shop and froze. Sabaku no Gaara walked in and began to pace the aisles. She tried to contain her panic, unsure whether to be relieved or annoyed it was her manning the shop instead of her civilian father. Gaara, with all the focus of a sniper about to take a shot, was scanning the weapons on display, sand around him twitching in the air. Tenten had seen his fight against Lee, watched him roadblock and eventually overcome one of the strongest genin she knew. The power didn't scare her, she knew there were plenty of jonin and even chunin that could dismantle Lee without much effort. But the way he had done it, his attacks had been oppressive, overwhelming, but never vicious. Gaara had seemed apathetic. The kind of monster that would kill dozens without even knowing to think he should care. And now he was in her shop. What did he want? He'd never needed weapons before, was he here for her? Not satisfied with Lee, could he be going after the whole team? Had Sai already been sent to the hospital, crushed and bleeding, with sand filling his I'd like to purchase this, please. You'll never kill, huh? Tenten blinked. Gaara had walked up to her counter and deposited a weapon. A purchase. He continued. This is a shop, correct? I do sometimes struggle with societal conventions such as signs. No, yes, we are a th that? She looked down. It was technically a war fan. Indeed. Gaara nodded. I think my sister would like it. But it's 10-10 knew it wasn't sensible to try and deny the demon, but it's pink. I made it as a joke 3 years ago. It is of impeccable quality. And pink is Temari's favorite color. Gaara reasoned. 10-10 shook her head and gave up. Cash or credit? Itachi was sat in the Uchiha's other living room when Sasuke kicked the door down. Itachi! Sasuke shouted, panting. Sasuke. Itachi replied. Santa. Sasuke accused. Santa. Itachi agreed. There was a pause. Itachi looked at Sasuke. Sasuke looked at Itachi. Itachi snorted. You motherfucker. I can't believe it took you this long. I am 13. I know. This has got to be a record. You suck. Sasuke jumped on him. Naruto and Hinata are in the other room laughing their asses off. I've been changing what I said he was like every single year. How did you not notice? That's it. I'm massacring the Uchiha clan. In another room, Fugaku looked across at Mikoto with a frown. She shrugged, smiling, and went back to her rapping. Later that night, we really doing this? Sasuke hissed, tightening the straps on his bag as he ran across the rooftops. It kind of feels like invading her privacy. Naruto looked across at him with a grin. What, like Santa did every Christmas? You shut up. Look, Hinata doesn't get presents. Naruto pointed out. Period. And I'm not having it. Now I have actual money. I've been sending stuff to all my other friends, but I thought you two were sorted, being rich, so I didn't bother, but if she isn't, it needs emergency last-minute measures. Sasuke gave him a funny look. Like breaking into her house? Emergency last-minute measures. They came up to the Hyuuga compound. All its walls and gates were decorative at best, not much point in terrestrial defenses against ninja. It was trivial to enter the grounds, and from there, the main house. She doesn't even lock her doors, Naruto remarked, before creeping into the living room. Oh damn, she doesn't even have a tree. Sure she does. Whispered Sasuke, getting into it. I think I saw a pine or two in her gardens. Naruto grinned. Oh, that's naughty. I like it. Ahem. They both froze. Then turned. Forsooth, one of Hinata's owls was perched up above her fireplace, watching them. You know, I have been instructed by my lady to alert her if there are any intruders to her compound while she is sleeping. It mentioned. Then it clicked its beak. But this place is so drab and boring, frankly Spartan, and I disapprove. Not to mention, I don't believe my lady has been pleasantly surprised in over 5 years. He turned his head 180 degrees so it was facing the wall. Do try to limit the chaos, if you would. Naruto exhaled. Then looked at Sasuke. Sasuke checked him a coin pouch. Send out some shadow clones, buy some tinsel and baubles. How much tinsel? The Uchiha grinned. Too much. Oh yes sir. And I'll go find a suitable tree to cut down. Check if there's any bugs or mice you can give to Forsooth. Boo, good shout. Now I don't know where I can find a reindeer, but hear me out. Christmas Day Hinata awoke. Report. There were 0 hostile intruders during your sleep, ma'am. Forsooth reported, sat dutifully at her bedside. May I dispel? Celebrations are occurring at the Angel Mountains, and I'd rather not miss them. Sage creatures celebrate Christmas? Hinata asked, sitting up in bed and stretching. Our cultures do tend to mimic human culture. Forsooth admitted. If you'd like I could give you a history lesson on it's fine. She got out of bed. You go home to your family. Forsooth didn't wince as much as he normally would at a statement like that. Thank you. Merry Christmas, Lady Hinata. Merry Christmas, Forsooth. And please put some clothes on. Nobody is watching and pajamas are uncomfortable. Forsooth sighed and vanished. Hinata shook her head, walking along the corridor down to her kitchen and idly making the hand seals for the Byakugan. It took effect when she reached the balcony above her living room, vision spreading to encompass her entire compound, and what? Her jaw dropped. First of all, the sacred pine tree, tended for 5 generations, had been neatly cut at the base and buried in the hole that had apparently been made in her floor. It was covered in tinsel and baubles. In fact, there was tinsel everywhere, stretched along the ceiling, the mantelpiece, spiderwebbing the walls. There was a brown Labrador laying on the floor with a pair of reindeer ears fastened to its head, and red paint on its nose. There were about 3 packages of mince pies and carrots strewn about the floor, empty. It looked like they'd been eaten by the dog. Filled with morbid curiosity more than anything else, Hinata walked through the chaos and crouched before the tree, where 4 small wrapped boxes awaited her, in orange, purple, white and blue. One contained a letter from Sasuke, and a signed copy of 15 Reasons Why the Byakugan Can Go Fuck Itself by Madara Uchiha. One contained the novel Flight of the Owls from Itachi? All right. Kakashi had sent her one of Jiraiya's works, Gutsy something or other, because of course he had, although the main character in this one was called Naruto, so maybe it deserved a read. Naruto himself, he'd gotten her a hat. It was one of the really big fluffy ones with the pom-poms dangling from either side and I3 Konoha on it in capital letters. Inside his letter, he explained that he thought she should have something to go with her trademark coat. It couldn't have been more than 3 ryo at one of the Christmas markets. It was perfect. Hinata leaned back onto her haunches and shook her head, cradling the presents. There were tears in her eyes. With a single controlled wing beat, Forsooth glided down to one of the planetoids in the Angel Mountains. Good morning, kiddos. Uncle Forsooth. The young elf turned to him and hopped over, trying his best to orient himself for a hug. Merry Christmas. I didn't think you'd make it. Merry Christmas, nephew. And did you think I'd miss it? Forsooth chuckled, reaching into his feathers. In fact, I brought you a present. Kudo's eyes widened. Really? From the humans? Forsooth nodded, pulling out a wrapped package and putting it down. From Lady Hinata's team, in fact. Kudos tore into the package and gasped. A dead mouse. They know me so well. The Uchiha compound was alive. Children running through the streets, throwing snowballs, parents pretending they hadn't considered taking over the village a few years ago, everyone having fun. Even in the clan head's house, Sasuke was having a better time than usual. It's nicer when I know it's from you. He told his parents, with a smile. Itachi had, predictably, gotten a card from his younger brother, in which Sasuke had apologized that he had no idea what Itachi could possibly want that Sasuke could give. He had them quoted Naruto, who had once said that there's no such thing as too many explosive tags, and included one of those in the card. He had even said it to go off, which Itachi had congratulated him on after disarming it. Less predictably, however, was the small package Itachi had found on his bedside table, that had managed to get there without him noticing it. Encoded inside was the message: Sup Itachi. Merry Christmas. You will not believe the shit I went to get a shadow clone into this village. You will find enclosed my present to you, a signed copy of 15 Reasons Why the Sharingan Can Go Fuck Itself by Hashirama Senju. You're welcome. As you so thoughtlessly neglected to get me one, I took the liberty of stealing your favorite book. As it's been a while, I forgot exactly where you kept it, so you may find that I have completely reshuffled your entire bookshelf. Funny that. Catch you when I'm in town next month, you know who. P.S. I also took the liberty of giving Hinata my gift under your name. Sorry about that. Itachi had chuckled, burned the letter, and gone about with his morning. Temari lovingly stroked her hands across her Christmas present. It's perfect, she whispered. Gaara smiled. Kankuro didn't say anything, but he was inspecting his new poison set with similar enthusiasm. Haku woke up to find a letter from Naruto and a mini keychain version of Kubikura Bocho. He squealed. Naruto woke up far too late, stifling a yawn. Lions were rare enough that he had no issues taking as much advantage as he could of this one. Bleary-eyed, he shifted out of bed, moving towards his bathroom for a morning leak, at which point he tripped up. Sprawled out on the floor, rubbing his head, he looked up to see what the hell he had tripped on. He was certain he hadn't left that many ramen boxes out. His jaw dropped. His room was awash with presents. Boxes, cards, bags, packages, dozens of the things. Of course there was the card from Irika, but the Hokage had got him a box that was, upon closer inspection, full of some awesome cool three-pronged kunai. Sasuke had got him a book on Uzumaki heritage. Hinata had got him a really familiar scarf. But there was also something from Kakashi, from Jiraiya, from Haku. His classmates as well: Inoshika Cho, Tentenri and Sai, Kiba, Shino, Sakura. There was even a big box that, from the stamp, had come all the way from Wave, with thanks from Inari and his family. It contained a sample of Wave's trade goods that Naruto was encouraged to share amongst all his friends to build publicity. And there were apologies in the cards, people sending in their seasonal greetings with addendums like, "I was only nasty to you because my parents told me to, but now I know why it's just dumb. So I'm gonna stop that." Or "There's no way the nine-tailed fox would clean my gardens with such gusto. So I'm sorry for treating you like it." Or "You're not as much of an asshole as I thought you were." About 7 cards in, Naruto dropped them from lifeless fingers, and went back to staring out at the massive collection of gifts. Presents. People had gotten him presents. People cared. He flopped down on his back, and didn't even try to stop the tears. Training montage number 4. Haku is perfectly fine. The month continued. So that's 10 Nernrut leaves over 5 days, 1 in the morning and 1 before bed. If the headaches stop partway through, continue to take the medicine, but if they're still there by the end, don't hesitate to let us know. The teenager across the counter picked up his prescription and smiled warmly. "Thanks a lot. Hey, when do you get off shift? I wouldn't mind meeting and hanging out sometime." Haku blushed and shook his head, smiling apologetically. "Sorry, but I'm not interested in that sort of thing right now. Please, have a nice day." The guy shrugged good-naturedly and walked towards the door. This was not the first event of its type to happen in the past few weeks, or even days. Zabuza had remarked, once or twice, that Haku looked like a girl, and it still stunned to think about his old master, but he hadn't thought he looked like an attractive one. He looked up to scan the shelves around him, and spotted a very familiar face. "Naruto?" The blonde looked up, saw him, and smiled. "Haku." Haku had already leapfrogged his counter before the ban on indoor parkour crossed his mind, running across and enveloping Naruto in a hug. The teenager at the doorway gave him a dirty look before leaving. "Good to see you too." Naruto got out through clenched teeth. "You can, let go now." "Sorry." Haku released his death grip, patting down his apron. "It's just been a while. What are you doing here?" "Looking for you." Naruto laughed. "What are you doing here?" "Working." Haku explained. "This is my job." "You work in a shop?" Naruto wrinkled his nose up. "I thought you'd be out there being the coolest ninja around." "Except my team, obviously." "It's a pharmacy." Haku corrected. "And they didn't exactly trust me with missions for the village. I was a missing nin. But this is linked to the ninja hospital. The way things are going, they'll take me on as a medic nin pretty soon, and eventually they might let me take the Chunin exams, become a legal Konoha ninja." He chuckled to himself. "But I'm still being followed daily. They can't seem to decide whether to throw me in a jail cell or throw me at a crowd of girls." Naruto blinked, clearly not understanding. "I have a bloodline limit." Haku extrapolated. "Like your teammates. It's how I'm able to combine water and wind release into ice release, and it's very valuable." He smiled wryly. "My previous master's sword wasn't the only trophy you stole from Mist that day. If they restart the Yuki clan in Leaf, that's another superpower to add to their armed forces. But that would mean I'd have to." He made a finger motion. "EW." Naruto surmised. "Indeed. So, why did you come to see me?" I had hoped that if this were a social call you would have come sooner. He tried to keep the hurt out of his voice. He failed. Naruto scratched the back of his neck. Yeah, that's the thing. I was going to go see you as soon as I could, but they told me it would be, bad for you? I don't know what it was. They said some stuff I didn't really understand about Stockholm Syndrome and dependence and basically banned me from seeing you. Oh. Right. Haku winced. I promise I'm not that bad. They actually told me you asked about me 3 times a day for the first month, and had six separate breakdowns, Naruto continued, oblivious, which, if I'd known, I would have come to see you sooner, but whatever, right? Ahaha, right. Haku couldn't meet his eyes. That doesn't bother you? Naruto laughed. You aren't even the craziest ninja I've met today. Don't worry about it. Right. Haku felt a weight lift off his chest and smiled. So what made them let you come here? They've doubled my patrol for today, so I assume you didn't just break the rules. No, I asked Kakashi, and he said he'd sort it out with the old man. Basically, Naruto paused for a moment, then fell to his knees. Please train me. Eh? Haku replied, eloquently. You know how to use wind release, right? Naruto asked. Hinata said that you used it against her in the woods. I really need a teacher. Barely anyone in the fire country actually uses wind, except Gramps, of course, but he's too busy. I thought the only option was Temari, but she's the sister of the person I'm supposed to fight, and then I remembered you. Haku was genuinely shocked. Yes, I have an affinity for it, and I do know a few strong wind jutsu, but I'm your best option? Will the Hokage even agree to this? I guess if it's not allowed, they'll stop us. Naruto paused. Neither the 2 jonin tailing Haku or the pair following Naruto moved from their hiding spots. That's that then. So? Naruto asked him. Haku shook his head in disbelief, before smiling at the still kneeling Naruto. Sure. I'd love to. Now get off the floor, it's weird seeing you like that. Hot, but weird. What? Nothing. Kankuro idly moved one of his pieces. So how can I be sure you won't just possess me and start playing the game for me? Across from him, Shikamaru moved one of his own pieces, seemingly at random. You're thinking of Ino. I can move you, but you'll know it's happening. I've been told it's painful. Kankuro raised an eyebrow, even as he tried to decipher his opponent's maddening strategy. The Nara had foregone all traditional methods of properly playing shogi, in favor of seemingly moving whatever he felt like in no particular order. Aren't you afraid of giving away information? Shikamaru shrugged. He had challenged Kankuro to the game in the first place, but was being oddly reticent. I fought your sister, and I had to give away most of my usual tricks to pull that win off. You already know all the practical applications of my clan techniques. You don't seem worried. Kankuro moved another piece. Not about the fight, no. Shikamaru replied. Kankuro reacted with carefully concocted confusion. He's probably just smack-talking. He doesn't know anything. It's funny. Shikamaru continued. My friends won't stop talking about these exams. It's filled their heads. People always struggle to stay objective at times like this. They don't just want me to give it my all, they expect it. Any other uses for all that effort and chakra don't even factor into their minds. Do you expect to need your energy for something else? Kankuro asked, carefully. Do you? Shikamaru countered. Still might just be smack talk. No reason to get suspicious. I see your point. Kankuro replied, continuing the game. I'm only really here to escort my brother and sister. If you want, I could forfeit? Give you a free pass? He finally spotted it. Shikamaru's apparently random movements had been setting up a trap. Kankuro smugly moved to dismantle it. Thanks, but that would still leave me fighting either Hinata or Sasuke. Shikamaru replied. I've got this bad feeling about the second day. Okay, he might know something. Naruto's fight? Kankuro replied, sweating under his black clothing. I get it, Konoha isn't too fond of the Nine Tails. Sure. Something like that. Fuck, he definitely knows something. What do you think you'll be able to do, anyway? Kankuro tried not to sound threatening. There isn't much a regular ninja can do against a tailed beast. There's more than one way to skin a tanuki. Shikamaru replied with a smile, and wasn't that a suspicious alteration on the phrase? I win in 4 turns. Kankuro looked down at the board. Frowned. Played back the moves in his head, then went pale. The sneaky shit, how had he even? Kankuro looked up. Shikamaru still had that lazy smile on his face. I guess I lose then. He stood up hurriedly. I hope you're this interesting to fight in our real match. We'll see, I suppose. Shikamaru started clearing up the game pieces. Kankuro internally marked him for assassination, smiled, and left. Quickly. Hinata finished her warm-up with Guy. Spectacular as always, my young pupil. Are you ready to begin the real training? Actually, Sensei Hinata had been thinking about how to broach this subject for a while. I was wondering if there was something else you could teach me. Guy laughed and made a humble hand wave. I'm afraid that most of my skills lie in taijutsu and physical training. If you think you need other techniques, you'd be best off returning to Kakashi. That's not it. Hinata shuffled. I meant the gates. I see. Guy's face went solemn. I would not usually teach those to any genin. While the training to prepare for it should be undertaken early, attempting to actually open them should not be done until one's body has matured. You taught Lee. Hinata pointed out. Lee is an exception. Guy sighed. For the first time, it seemed like he was dropping his persona. He hates the phrase disabled, but it isn't inaccurate. His chakra coils are stunted. He is not just untalented at ninjutsu and jinjutsu, they are completely beyond him. The gates are his only means of progress. He gestured for Hinata to sit and did so himself. The 8 gates are 8 chakra points along your network that limit your body to prevent self-destruction. Their power is great, yes. Many ninja have said that opening the 8th gate increases your power by 100-fold. This is an underestimation. Hinata gulped. Even the first gate, the gate of opening, allows you to use 100% of your muscles' power rather than 20%, and they are exponentially stronger over time. However, every gate has its dangers. They push your body beyond what it is supposed to accomplish, Hinata. The first can be used by a young, fit individual with no damage other than soreness. But the 4th will leave you immobile for hours. The 6th, days. The 7th risks permanently crippling your body anytime you use it, and the 8th will kill you. Just as it killed my father. Hinata looked him dead in the eyes. I've sparred with Lee. Opening the gates unblocks Tenketsu. Guy grimaced. I understand the dangers of using them. But surely there can be no harm in having them? Having one? I am not one for unnecessary shows of power, sensei. Being crippled and winning is better than being killed. That may be so, but perhaps it will give you greater confidence in your abilities. Guy shot back, deadly serious. Perhaps you will take on conflicts that you would originally never have dared to, fights you are not ready for. Like a man attacking the 7 deadly swordsmen of the mist as a genin. Placing your life in a technique that tears your body apart is not a wise course. Hinata grit her teeth. I know what it's like to lose a loved one, sensei. She reminded him. But your father died a hero. Mine was slaughtered in his bed. How many lives would have been lost if Dai hadn't had that power? What might have happened if Hyuga Hayashi had? Guy looked at her sternly for a few seconds. Then he relaxed. That is the issue, Hinata. A few days ago, I asked you to understand your overarching motivations. Eventually, you admitted your goal was to defeat your brother. But there is a deeper level to even that. He leaned in closer. Do you want justice? Or do you want revenge? He leaned back and put up a hand as she began to speak. Don't answer. The truth of your desires is for you alone to understand. Just as your life is yours to live, and if you so choose, yours to give. But I will not teach you this power if you intend to take it down a path of rage and death. Hinata looked to the floor. Lee has a rule. He will never open the gates except in defense of his ninja way. Guy nodded, silently. Hinata looked up and spoke. In my life, I will fight. Probably many, many times. I will fight for many reasons, for my friends, for my country, for myself, and I'm sure sometimes I will fight without even knowing why. Sometimes I will fight certain of victory, but most of the time in the murky realm of probability and doubt. And sometimes I will be forced to fight an opponent who I believe is beyond me. And when I look down the paths of the consequences of defeat, and see that the world will suffer for it, then and only then will I open the gates. This I swear, on my heart and on my name. The wind whistled through the clearing. Guy looked at her, long and hard. 1 month is too short for most to even learn the basics. Tenketsu are my specialty. She replied. Guy stood up. Your vow is satisfactory. Hinata, I will teach you of the 8 gates. One day, I hope you prove that promise true. Good morning, Lee, said the pretty nurse, walking into the room with a smile. How does the leg feel? Lee gave her a thumbs up and a grin. Intense pain, miss. But I push through. I'm sure, that's good. The nurse seemed to grapple with something, before sighing. Have you done your stretches this morning? Indeed. I have gone through the stretches 3 times in order to triple the improvement rate. That's not how you know what? Great. The nurse slipped to the doorway and leaned in, glint in her eye. And what about the exercises I suggested? Those were harder, but seemed to have had more of an effect. Lee replied. Why did you prescribe a different workout? Because most of these doctors, for all their much-touted experience, have no idea what they're talking about. The nurse bit out, before muttering to herself, they can survive 5 weeks in the wilderness with a broken leg and then tell me my methods are brutal and violate safety protocols. Lee nodded enthusiastically. I also enjoy ignoring what people consider medically ethical. Thank you for your expertise, Miss Nurse. No problem. She smiled. And call me Haku. Please. Lee was about to respond when suddenly Haku was gone, blurring so fast he hardly saw it. In a moment she was stood by the foot of his bed, and since when had she had Sinbon in her hands? Then he looked at the doorway, and gulped. Good morning, said the monster, with a smile. Gaara did not radiate killing intent, period. But there was something about him that set on edge anyone in his presence, as it clearly had Haku. Lee hadn't noticed it, at first, until he had had to fight the Sangenin. He glared and tried to push himself to his feet. Have you come to finish what you started? You'll find I am not as infirm as I look. If you try to attack my patient, Haku warned, you'll find he is the least of your worries. Not at all. Gaara didn't even seem to notice their aggression. I came to wish this one a fast recovery. Huh? Lee blinked. You are a powerful opponent. Gaara continued. And it would be good to test myself against you again. I came to remind you that you must grow stronger until you are able to fight me again, and perhaps then I will tear your insides out. Naruto was not clear on what happened after the rematch. Lee's training only left him with one response to that. Very well. I will overcome all adversity to become the strongest taijutsu master in ninja history, and then I shall defeat you. Good. Gaara replied. I would also like to remind you that should your village be hypothetically obliterated, you must survive that for the rematch to occur. Goodbye. He turned away. You know Naruto? Haku asked him as he was leaving. It seems like everyone important knows Naruto. Mused Gaara. You interest me too, child of ice. We should try to kill each other sometime. I believe it will be beneficial. With that, he left. I need to stop being surprised by weird people. Haku sighed to herself, hiding her senbon. You wanted to see me, sensei? Sasuke asked, walking into the clearing. Yes, I did, said Kakashi, snapping his orange book closed. I know I said that I have to be impartial, but really, you're my favorite. Really? Sasuke deadpanned. Really? Kakashi defended. Here, watch, I got a kick-ass new lightning jutsu I can show you to prove it. You wanted to see me, sensei? Hinata asked, walking into the clearing. Yes, I did, said Kakashi, snapping his orange book closed. I know I said that I have to be impartial, but really, you're my favorite. Really? Hinata deadpanned. Really? Kakashi defended. Here, watch, I've got a kick-ass new lightning jutsu I can show you to prove it. Dinner had just finished in the Uchiha household, and its patriarch had been silent throughout the entire meal. Sasuke, he said, eventually. A word alone. Sasuke nodded and handed his plate off to his mother with a smile, sitting back down. His father waited a moment before adding, alone, Itachi. Sasuke looked behind to see his older brother lounging in the doorway, though he glared and left at Fugaku's urging. Sasuke's father looked at him from across the table. Your first battle is tomorrow. Yes, father. I look forward to witnessing it. You're coming to watch? Of course. My son's ascension to Chunin isn't something I'd miss. Sasuke's heart soared. I thank you. I promise I'll make you proud. Of course. Fugaku replied. I understand you are facing the Hyuuga heiress. Yes. Your teammate. Yes. Sasuke tried to figure out where this was going. Your mother convinced me that having her on your team would spark rivalry and convince you to better yourself, and I am glad to see it has succeeded. Fugaku continued. However, it must now end. It what? Even if you both are promoted, your team will be officially dismantled. That girl is no longer your teammate. She's your enemy, and must be treated as such. I understand, father. For once, Fugaku smiled. It was a hard smile. I know you do. Make me proud, son. In the other room, Itachi was glaring furiously at a family portrait. With a flick of his will, it accidentally caught on fire. Who's the edgiest of them all, number 2? The Hyuuga hadn't expected the crowd. I hadn't expected the crowd. Itachi smiled from across from him. It's the finals, Neji. There were less people in my other matches. People are more excited to watch this fight, it seems. We've both been crushing the competition up to now. Itachi noted. This is probably the only match that's going to take more than 20 seconds. Assuming I let you last that long. Neji pointed out. I know we're working on your sense of humor, but now isn't the best time for jokes. Itachi dug back. Are both contestants ready? Asked the proctor. Both nodded. Let's make this a fun one. Itachi decided. Neji smiled back. Give the audience a show. Begin. Great Fireball Jutsu. Rotation. Hinata hadn't expected the crowd. I hadn't expected the crowd. She mentioned. Did I not get across that this was the event of the year? Chuckled Gecko, leading her and Sasuke into the center of the arena. The money-changing hands, you two better not be accepting bribes, because if anyone gets caught there's going to be riots. Their competitors, teams and Jonin Sensei were in a lowered area of the stands closer to the match. There sat Naruto, Jiraiya, Guy and Kakashi. Last chance to make a bet. Jiraiya reminded Naruto. I'm not betting against my teammates. Naruto dismissed. Why is it even such a big deal? Prominent ninja clans, same age, obviously rivals, yeah, the odds are all over the place. Kakashi summarized. And their dojutsu are an interesting matchup? Naruto guessed. Kakashi blinked at him. Dojutsu? Oh, you mean the fight? No, I was talking about the bets on who will end up dating who. What? The gambling is getting heated among the Jonin sensei and the Umbu. Chuckled Jiraiya. The smart money is on you and Hinata, given that she's been stalking you for years, but a lot of people think she's going to get with Sasuke, because of what Kakashi just said. The next most popular is that you and Sasuke are going to get together. Stop it up in the important people's box. The best seats were occupied by the Hokage and the Kazekage, both making the Kage equivalent of idle chatter, insults, subtle threats that concealed even subtler threats, and the occasional thrown kunai. Itachi was statuesque behind the Hokage's shoulder, head of his personal security. Hiruzen had offered to let him watch this match with his family. He had politely refused. Down in the center of the arena, Hinata squared off against Sasuke. I know we said we were going to be civil about this, but I'm afraid I absolutely have to win. Family reasons. Sasuke nodded across from her. It's okay. Turns out I absolutely cannot lose either. Family reasons. Then it seems we are at an impasse. She got into stance. Gekko coughed to get their attention. All right, rules are the same as for the preliminaries. You fight until your opponent is dead, unconscious, is otherwise at your mercy, or forfeits. The match isn't over until I say it's over, but when I say it's over, it's over. Losing control of yourself afterwards, well, it looks bad. Other than that, may the best ninja win. Thanks, said both contestants at once. I will. Gekko rolled his eyes. He looked up to the Hokage's box, and got a nod from the red hat. Then he hit his arm straight out forwards. All right then. If both combatants are ready, they both nodded. He swept his hand down. Begin. Neither had even bothered with training seals that day. They blitzed towards each other. Sasuke palmed a storage scroll right as they were about to collide, making a puff of smoke about his torso. There was a glint. Hinata threw her upper body backwards as the blade swung over her head, then span in place as it stabbed down. I told him not to try and behead her, murmured Itachi from the Hokage's left. Hinata cartwheeled away from its edge before jumping back to get some distance between her and Sasuke. Then she scowled. Cheap move. Sasuke readied Rado and grinned. We're ninja. Fair enough. Both pairs of eyes narrowed. Sharingan. Byakugan. Their dojutsu flared to life. In the stands, Naruto prepared to watch the most dramatic fight of the exams so far. 30 seconds later, the most dramatic fight of the exams so far hadn't started yet. Naruto glanced sideways. Genjutsu battle. Kakashi explained. He had revealed his Sharingan, and was watching the two children standing still quite intently. Sasuke's Sharingan means his illusions and hypnosis are much stronger if he can make eye contact, and Hinata's too proud to look away. Like when he made Tenten fall asleep? Precisely. But Hinata's Byakugan can see the chakra, so she knows exactly what he's doing and is perfectly equipped to stop it. Sounds interesting. It is. I was being sarcastic. When does it finish? Kakashi rolled his eyes. Give them a few more seconds, they'll realize they're wasting time. A few more seconds passed, and the most dramatic fight of the exams so far was back on. They clashed in the center, both dodging warily around each other's strikes. Then Hinata put a palm out towards Sasuke's incoming sword, and blocked it. Using a carefully controlled burst of chakra, she was able to nullify the lightning-released chakra in the blade and blunt it. She gripped it and threw her other palm forwards, but Sasuke ducked it and twisted his sword free of her grip, swinging again towards her shoulder. The pace of the duel increased as the distance between the pair shrank, now much more comfortable pummeling into each other. Chakra clashed as the sword struck Hinata's hands, and as Sasuke got much more comfortable using his offhand to try and keep her off balance. Dust was kicked up between them as they fell into a twisting, dancing mess. She swept, and he jumped, and then he was slamming his sword down onto her. She caught the flat of the blade and for a moment held Sasuke's weight on top of herself. Then she heaved, and with another blast of chakra sent him hurtling up and away. He sheared the sword midair and flashed through hand seals, bringing his fingers up to his mouth. Great Fireball Jutsu! The sphere of flame launched towards Hinata. She shifted her stance slightly. 8 trigrams, rotation. She turned, and the spinning blue dome appeared around her just as the fireball hit. It impacted with a roar and was swept into the rotation, resulting in a massive fire whirl that extended upwards over 50 meters into the sky. The crowd oohed. Sasuke landed outside the cyclone, knowing damn well Hinata could see everything he was doing, and started making a long string of hand seals. Just because you can see it coming doesn't mean you can stop it. A strange chirping noise filled the arena. The rotation ended and the fire whirl dispersed, to reveal Hinata making her own set of hand seals with a shocked expression. Sasuke blitzed towards her, a blade of lightning extending from his hand. Hinata jumped, finishing her hand signs, and lightning chakra began to form in her hand as well. Sasuke angled his strike upwards. Hinata twisted and struck down. Both Chidori slammed into their targets' bodies. Both shadow clones dispelled. The real Sasuke and Hinata walked towards each other, both genuinely surprised. Hitaki the Chidori? Sasuke shouted. Hitaki the Chidori? Hinata yelled, he taught them the Chidori? Itachi exclaimed. You taught them the Chidori? Jiraiya gaped at Kakashi, who shrugged. An A-rank assassination jutsu? That's like me teaching Naruto the Rasengan. Incredibly irresponsible and a terrible idea? Kakashi dryly responded. Exactly. Jiraiya shouted. And now I'm going to have to do that just to avoid being outdone. In the arena, the fight was moving again. Both had gotten their shadow clones' remaining chakra back, but given the immense cost of the 1,000 birds, that refund was pittance. Sasuke's chakra reserves were around half now, and he knew Hinata's must be about the same. He resolved to try and conserve what he had left, darting in with his sword. Hinata apparently had decided no such thing. There was a burst of smoke, and then an owl at least twice Sasuke's height was stood in front of him. He stabbed Rado flat down into the ground just as a massive gust of wind tore through the arena. Sasuke gripped onto his blade's hilt and saved himself being thrown bodily across the floor, but was helpless to stop Hinata leaping on top of the owl. This boy is not your enemy. It cautioned her. No. She told it. But he is in my way. Drama queen. It huffed, but said no more, spreading its wingspan and taking off. From the floor, Sasuke grimaced and began to throw an inordinate amount of shuriken at the flying menace. Making the most of his Sharingan-assisted trajectory calculation, he had ninja stars bouncing off each other to hit the bird from just about any angle. Hinata made the most of her own dojutsu and her tree-walking expertise. Her chakra control put even his to shame, and clambered around her mount, striking away every single projectile he sent towards her. The owl paused in midair to put its claws together, and a cluster of white arcs hurtled down towards Sasuke. The summon, it seemed, had mastered the important wind-style technique of making the air really fucking sharp. He ran, the blades tearing up the concrete beneath him and launching dust and rocks up into the air. At which moment he realized 2 unrelated things: 1, that dust would do nothing to hide him from her, and 2, she couldn't use the rotation technique while she was on the owl, or it would ruin its flying. Grinning, he formed some more seals. Phoenix Fire Jutsu. A rapid series of smaller fireballs blasted up towards Hinata, and her owl was forced to make some evasive maneuvers as it came under, quite literally, anti-air fire. We may need to adjust our strategy. It hooted. I have an idea. Hinata told it. Dive. Of all the foolish, overconfident summoners, it obeyed, tucking its wings in and diving straight towards the floor as Hinata explained the rest of her plan. Pulling up, it ended up gliding barely across the floor, and Sasuke was faced with a very angry-looking bird blitzing straight towards him with an even angrier-looking Hyuga riding it, who had just finished gathering what his Sharingan helpfully informed him was lightning release chakra. He held firm, and put his hand on his sword. Thunder Shock Jutsu! She shouted, launching a bolt of electricity towards him. It was a stunning technique, not a lethal one, meant to keep him from moving while the owl hit him. But move he did. He drew Rado and caught the bolt on the blade. It reacted with the lightning chakra in the sword and intensified, just in time for him to twist and swing. Blue light crackled along the sword as he hurled a wave of electricity at his attackers. Hinata jumped off in time to avoid it, but the owl screeched as the lightning stunned it, causing it to crash into a slide along the ground. Hinata's leftover momentum sent her flying forwards, and Sasuke was able to land a double kick to her midriff, knocking her away and propelling himself towards the owl, which he landed on and stabbed through the skull as it came to a stop. It desummoned, and he sheathed his sword on his way to the floor. Hinata got to her feet. That, Sasuke said, breathing heavily, was the coolest thing I've ever done. Hinata glared at him. She was hurt, not injured, but her chakra reserves were low. She could manage perhaps one more Chidori before falling unconscious, or only a handful of rotations. Her primary attack strategy didn't require much in the way of chakra, allowing her to spend it in large chunks without much worry, but since Sasuke had found a counter to the gentle fist, her annoyance was building. Surrender. She called across to him. Not a chance. He called back. She growled and tensed. At this rate, she was probably going to lose. If she lost, she probably wouldn't be promoted to Chunin. If she wasn't promoted, she'd have to wait another 6 months to try again, to get access to her family's secrets and to higher difficulty missions. People might get hurt because she wasn't there to help them. Neji certainly wouldn't die as early. And if she was forced to stay behind as Naruto was promoted, so to summarize, if she lost this battle, the world would suffer. That fulfilled her vow, didn't it? Looking deep inside herself, she mentally gripped a certain one of her tenketsu. First gate. The gate of opening. She shouted. Open. He taught you the gates? Sasuke shouted. He taught her the gates? Itachi muttered. Kakashi gaped at the arena as chakra swirled about his student before rounding on Guy. You taught Hinata the gates? She was very insistent. Guy defended himself, grimly, before bursting into enthusiasm. And incredibly talented. Learning to open even the first gate in under a month? It's an amazing display. What he said. This is awesome. Naruto was leaning as far as he could over the bars without destabilizing. In the arena, Sasuke had figuratively shit himself. He had considered attacking Hinata while she was charging up, but eventually decided that might just make her attack sooner and elected instead to throw shuriken over the arena while running far away. It didn't help. Hinata blurred across the ground, sending brick dust and shuriken scattering in her wake, and Sasuke's Sharingan barely let him react fast enough to stop her punching a hole in his chest. As it was, he went skidding backwards, forearms smarting, then she was gone and she hit him in the back. He blocked the next 2 punches, took the knee to the stomach, then the elbow to the side of his face sent him to the floor. He rolled away from the stomp and disengaged from the first grab, so she punched him in the stomach and grabbed him again, throwing him halfway across the arena. It was then that she realized she knew the gentle fist, and chased him with palms open. That's why I made her promise to check her Nindo before activating the gates, said Guy, sheepishly. They tend to make one irrational. Get out of my way. Hinata yelled gutturally. Does Lee get like that? Jiraiya asked. Lee's always like that, Naruto explained. In midair, Sasuke made 3 shadow clones, feeling lightheaded from the effort, and they landed in unison, 2 wielding swords and 2 unarmed. They met in the center of the arena in a clash of steel and flesh. Hinata was in her element, striking like lightning, and Sasuke? His eyes were throbbing. She was just too fast. His Sharingan was darting about like nobody's business trying to keep up with her, but she was just barely quicker than he could track and it hurt. She was going to win. One of his shadow clones popped, and then another. He attempted to make more, and got a kick to the forearms for his trouble. She was winning, and there was nothing he could do about it. For a split second, he caught the eye of his father and a few other members of his family in the crowd. Fugaku was looking straight at him, completely impassively. No. Sasuke couldn't lose. Not when he was this fucking close. The pain behind his eyes spiked to a maximum and his mouth opened in a wordless yell. Hinata blew apart his final clone and turned on him, aiming a palm strike straight at his forehead. He caught it. For a moment Hinata just stared at him, dumbfounded. 6 Tomo, and a grin stared back at her. Grimacing, she threw another series of strikes, all of which were blocked, then she fell back into a lower stance. 8 trigrams. 64 palms. She screamed, then launched into the combination. Sasuke realized that he knew what she was going to do. His eyes saw every twitch in her muscles, and extrapolated every move she was going to make. Not to mention, he'd seen her do this technique before with the Sharingan, practically recorded it. With tight, efficient movements, still outclassed in raw speed, he began blocking the strikes. He evolved his Sharingan? Kakashi gaped. He evolved his Sharingan? The Kazekage murmured. Oh fuck, he evolved his Sharingan. Hinata thought, dimly. You see that? Shouted an incredibly excited Itachi, grabbing the shoulders of the nearest person to him. That's 3 Tomo. He's fully evolved his Sharingan. In a matter of months. Not even I could do that, he's so amazing, I'm so fucking proud of him, the Hokage coughed. Yes, thank you for your input Itachi. Please release me. The Kazekage snickered. Down in the arena, both combatants staggered backwards. Hinata was struggling to understand that Sasuke had just blocked the 64 palms. Sasuke was struggling to understand that he had just blocked the 64 palms. Well, mostly. He'd had to let 18 of the last 32 through, the technique's exponentially increasing speed made it just too fast for him to block, but while his movement was limited, his chakra was still barely flowing. He put his hands together while she was still recovering. Great fireball jutsu. She was able to react, spinning into another rotation, but not to get out of the way, as another burning tornado appeared around her. Sasuke didn't let up, launching concurrent blasts of fire that turned the ground around Hinata red. The exhaustion the first gate was causing her was beginning to show, even though Sasuke couldn't see her past the fire whirl. The size of her rotations waned as she was forced backwards across the arena. Yes, inside the firewall Hinata was fuming. After all that, he was beating her again. This couldn't be happening, she'd come too damn far to let him wear her down into submission now. What did she have? A frontal assault was impossible, she didn't have enough chakra to summon anything big enough to survive the flames. His sword could stop her lightning jutsu, damn that Uchiha. When had he started specializing his kit just to beat her? Of course, there was always anything. I don't care anymore. This bastard has it coming, anything to beat him. She stopped spinning, and the rotation collapsed. Sasuke was a little worried when the fire whirl fell in on itself and his fireball blasted forwards across the arena, straight through where his teammate should be, but this was Hinata. A little burn wouldn't hurt her too much, and besides she probably had some strategy in play. He cut the jutsu, chakra reserve smarting and almost empty, and fell back into a ready stance, eyes tracking across the arena to see what would happen. He probably should have expected her to burst through the fire and charge straight at him. He hadn't expected the black markings that spread all across her body and the feral look on her face. She was even fucking faster, blitzing forward and punching him in the stomach in a move that definitely cracked one of his ribs and sent him flying across the arena. He stumbled to a halt and glared at her. You activated the curse mark? He shouted. Just to beat me? You bitch. Well fine then, if that's how she wants to fucking play it. He felt for the seal on his neck and broke it with a burst of chakra. When Hinata next jumped at him, he kicked her away, black spreading across his own skin and violence in his eyes. Are there curse marks on? Naruto gaped at the fighters, before looking back at Jiraiya. I thought you sealed them away. I did. The Sannin bit out. They activated them deliberately. They're going that far? Guys, Naruto whined, turning back to the arena where the duo were staring each other down again. Be nice, when are they going to stop escalating the fight? Asked Jiraiya. Well, Sasuke's dad is using carrot and stick to make him win at all costs, and Hinata gets access to more Kill Neji points if she wins. Kakashi pointed out. Naruto furrowed his eyebrows. So either Sasuke has to or Hinata has to. Oh my god, they're going to kill each other. Stop the match. The match did not stop, and the gladiators fell upon each other like banshees. The following fight could be accurately described as two very strong children beating the stuffing out of each other. All pretense of technique or skill was gone. Hinata punched Sasuke into the air, then jumped after him. He grabbed her arm and spun in a circle, throwing her down into the concrete. Beat him, beat him, beat him, beat her, beat her, beat her. She landed, making a small crater, and kicked him sideways when he fell down towards her, crashing him into the side of the arena and then chasing after him again. She punched and he ducked out of the way, so she punched again, smashing well over 5 holes in the wall before he grabbed her by the shoulders. He headbutted her. She headbutted him back. So he put a foot in her chest and booted her back towards the center of the arena. Both realized that this wasn't very effective. Crush him, crush him, crush him, crush her, crush her, crush her. In unison, they started making hand seals. Oh no! Kakashi grimaced from the stands. Is that Naruto gestured? Chidori! Both combatants yelled. Sensei, stop the match, please. Naruto turned to grab Kakashi's sleeve. I can't. He grit his teeth. Fights in the Chunin exams are allowed to lead to death. Nobody is supposed to interfere unless Sensei. Please. There were genuine tears in Naruto's eyes. Don't let my teammates die. Kakashi froze. In the arena, Sasuke and Hinata started running. The pair barreled towards each other, clan dojutsu honed for centuries, picking out every weakness, every bead of sweat and burst of lightning chakra. They closed on each other, distance shrinking to 20 meters, 15, as they started moving faster and faster, like a game of Blink where neither had any plans to stop. Kill him, kill him, kill him, kill her, kill her, kill. Wait, what? With a blur, Hatake Kakashi jumped the railing. For Sasuke, time seemed to slow even further. He could win. He knew damn well he could. Hinata was going too fast. His Sharingan could read her every movement like a book, and he knew exactly where she would be at the point of the clash. There were a dozen different ways he could angle himself, a dozen ways he could reduce her Chidori to a glancing blow while putting his right to her stomach. Winning by killing her. Was that really what he wanted? Of course. Kill her, for your father, for your name, for your pride. That was the curse mark. Opening it was a mistake, and he struggled to think of the counter-arguments he knew were there, that were putting such a horrible feeling in his chest. He fought to free his mind from its influence, to regain some sense of lucidity. Of course he wanted to win. He wanted, so fucking badly, for his father to look down at him, smile, and say he was proud of him. But kill his opponent? No, kill Hinata? He couldn't do that. Why couldn't he do that? Why damn it, why? Inside his head, he felt like he just broke the surface of a dark pool of water. Because Hinata was his teammate. She was his friend. And next to that, everything else faded into obscurity. Sasuke made his choice. As Hinata continued in a straight line, a second from making contact, Sasuke shifted, digging one foot into the ground and sticking it there with chakra. The resulting moment pivoted him in a circle with enough force to tear all the muscle in his lower leg, but pulled him off his intercept course. Hinata moved past him, surprise registering past the rictus of hate on her face, as Sasuke buried his Chidori into the ground in a massive, final explosion. I forfeit! He yelled. There was a moment of silence. Kakashi had stopped dead halfway across the arena towards them. Then Gekko shouted, Uchiha Sasuke forfeits. Victory goes to Hyuga Hinata. The crowd erupted into applause. Hinata was frozen on the spot for another second, before the Chidori dissipated from around her right hand. Then the first gate closed, and the curse mark reverted, and her legs couldn't hold her up any longer. She collapsed, joining Sasuke on the floor. A lot happened in the following moments. Medic Nin came on stretchers to pick up both combatants, who both suddenly realized they were in a lot of pain. Gekko glared at Kakashi, who gave him a trimmy look and walked back towards Naruto and Jiraiya, the latter holding the former by the scruff of his neck to stop him running towards his teammates. Itachi had turned away from the arena and his superiors. If anyone had seen him, the expression on his face would have been very hard to describe. Down in the seats, Fugaku stared straight at his son, unblinking. His expression was very easy to describe. Sasuke met his eyes and Fugaku, very slowly, shook his head. Sasuke just gave him a victorious smile.
Thank you for your views, likes, subscriptions, and overall support of my ongoing efforts to bring great content to all of you. Check out my Patreon for more mature fanfiction. The link is in the description and like everywhere on my channel.